Welcome to Natural Health Talk, your go-to podcast for all things related to holistic wellness, natural remedies, and living a balanced, healthy lifestyle. Be sure to visit our sponsor, topnaturalhealth.com, for special promo code pricing on all of the products mentioned in our episodes.
Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. This time we're tackling a topic many of you requested: finding natural ways to navigate menopause.
Always happy to dive into a good topic, and this one is definitely top of mind for many.
It sure is. And while hormone replacement therapy, or HRT, is one path, we've been getting so many questions about what else is out there. What can nature offer, So we're really excited to dig into some natural approaches today.
Absolutely, and there's so much to explore. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's maybe start with our source material for this deep dive.
Oh, you're right. We always like to keep things transparent here. We're drawing a lot of our insights today from Natural Supplements for Menopause, a comprehensive guide over at topnaturalhealth.com.
Great resource. They've really compiled some solid information on a wide range of options.
They have. And speaking of awesome resources, I hear they're also offering a sweet promo code deal for our listeners. We'll make sure to remind you about that at the end of the episode so you can check it out.
Always a bonus. But before we get too excited about discounts, it's super important to remind everyone that what we're discussing today is not a replacement for personalized medical advice.
100%. Always consult with your doctor or a qualified healthcare provider before making any significant changes to your health routine, especially when it comes to supplements.
Couldn't agree more. Safety first.
Absolutely. Safety first. Now, with those disclaimers out of the way, are you ready to jump into the world of natural menopause support?
I'm ready when you are. Let's do it.
Okay, so first things first, before we get into specific herbs and supplements and all that good stuff, let's make sure we're all on the same page about what menopause actually is, besides just a punchline for bad jokes.
Right, because it's certainly more complex than those jokes might lead you to believe.
Exactly. So in a nutshell, menopause marks that stage in a woman's life, typically between 35 and 55, when those ovaries decide to take a well-deserved retirement.
And hey, they've earned it. But as with any major life change, this one comes with some side effects, right?
It sure does. And those side effects, well, they're mostly thanks to a significant drop in estrogen production.
Estrogen, that powerful hormone we often take for granted until it starts to dwindle.
It really is. It does so much more than just regulate our periods, It affects everything from our bones to our mood to how we sleep. So when those estrogen levels take a dip, well, let's just say things can get interesting.
Interesting is one way to put it. More like a roller coaster ride for some.
Oh, tell me about it. Hot flashes in the middle of a meeting, waking up drenched in sweat in the middle of the night. Not exactly fun. And don't even get me started on the emotional swings. It's like someone flipped my mood switch to turbo mode.
And let's be real, those are just the tip of the iceberg for some women.
So true. Menopause can manifest in so many different ways, which is exactly why so many women are looking for relief and why we're so excited to be talking about natural options today. Because here's the thing. Just because menopause is a natural transition doesn't mean you have to just grin and bear it, right?
Right. There are ways to support your body through this change naturally, and that's where these supplements come in. They're not about hitting the pause button on menopause, but about giving your body what it needs to find its new normal.
Exactly. And one of the things I found super interesting in the guide was this section on phytoestrogens. Now, I'll admit that word sounded a little intimidating at first, but once I understood what they actually are, it was like a light bulb went off.
Yeah, it does sound a bit like something out of a science textbook, but it's actually pretty straightforward. Think of phytoestrogens as plant compounds that can, in a way, mimic some of estrogen's effects in the body.
Like they have a similar key that can fit into some of the same locks as estrogen, but they're not quite identical.
Exactly. It's not about replacing the estrogen your body is no longer making, but rather providing some gentle support where it's needed.
And the guide really honed in on three major players in the phytoestrogen world: soy, flaxseed, and red clover. Let's unpack those a bit, starting with soy. We're talking tofu, edamame, soy milk.
All the good stuff. And soy has definitely had its share of controversy over the years, but when it comes to menopause, the research on its potential benefits is pretty compelling.
It really is. For example, there's one study mentioned in the guide, and of course we'll link to all of this in the show notes, that found women who consumed a good amount of soy isoflavones daily. We're talking about a cup of soy milk's worth. experienced a noticeable reduction in hot flashes compared to those who didn't.
That's huge, and it just goes to show that sometimes simple dietary changes can make a real difference.
Totally. So for those of you listening who are thinking, okay, I need to stock up on soy, what's a reasonable amount to aim for to actually see these benefits?
That's the million-dollar question, right? And it's tough to give a one-size-fits-all answer because everyone's different. But it seems like incorporating soy regularly is key. The guide recommends chatting with your doctor or a registered dietitian to figure out what amount is right for you, especially if you have any underlying health conditions.
Makes sense. Personalized guidance is key. Now let's move on to another superstar in the world of healthy fats and apparently menopause support. Flaxseed.
Oh, flaxseed is a nutritional powerhouse for sure.
Yeah.
Tons of fiber, heart-healthy fats.
And those lignans you mentioned earlier.
Right. Those lignans are a type of phytoestrogen that packs a punch. And what's really interesting is that flaxseed has actually been linked to improved heart health, which is especially important for women after menopause since our risk of heart disease goes up.
It's like a 2-for-1 deal, managing symptoms and supporting heart health. I like it. Now we've talked about soy, flaxseed. What about red clover? Is it as lucky as its name suggests?
Well, it's showing some real promise. Like
Yeah.
soy, it's got those isoflavones, and some early research suggests it might lend a hand with those pesky hot flashes and even cholesterol levels.
Okay, so another potential ally in the fight against menopause symptoms. But I'm guessing, as with anything, it's crucial to do your research and talk to your doctor before adding it to your routine.
Absolutely. It all comes back to personalized care, figuring out what works best for you and your body. Which brings us to two other supplements that caught my eye in the guide. They call these the heavy hitters.
Ooh, heavy hitters. Now you've got me intrigued. Tell me more.
They definitely get that title for a reason. We're talking about black cohosh and maca root.
Okay, those names are definitely familiar, but to be honest, I'm a little fuzzy on the specifics. Black cohosh first. What's the deal with that one?
So black cohosh has a really interesting history. It's been used for women's health for centuries, going all the way back to Native American traditions.
Wow, really? I had no idea it had such a long history.
It really does. And, it's fascinating how often modern research ends up validating ancient wisdom, right?
It's true. There's something to be said for those time-tested remedies. But, okay, let's talk science for a minute. What's actually going on with black cohosh? How's it supposed to help with menopause symptoms?
Well, while we don't have all the answers yet, research suggests that black cohosh may actually be interacting with those serotonin receptors in our brains.
Serotonin. Okay, so that's the happy hormone, right? The one that affects our mood. What does that have to do with hot flashes and night sweats?
You're right. Serotonin is definitely involved in mood, but it also plays a surprising role in regulating our body temperature.
Ooh, really? I had no idea.
Yep. So some researchers believe that black cohosh might be able to sort of reset those internal thermostats that seem to go a little haywire during menopause.
So instead of feeling like I'm stuck on high just all the time, black cohosh might help me find some middle ground again.
Exactly. And some women even find that it helps them sleep better, especially if those night sweats are interrupting their sleep.
Oh, that would be amazing. Finally waking up feeling refreshed instead of like I just ran a marathon in a sauna. But, okay, with all these supplements, I know there are usually some caveats, right? Things to be aware of. What about black cohosh?
You're right, it's not a free pass. The guide really stresses the importance of talking to your doctor about dosage, especially for long-term use. There have been, while rare, some cases of liver issues linked to black cohosh.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely something to take seriously. Always better to be safe than sorry. So we've got black cohosh for the hot flashes, the night sweats, maybe even some sleep improvements. What about maca root? What makes that one stand out?
Maca is fascinating because it's what's often called an adaptogen.
Adaptogen. Okay, that's a new one. Break it down for me.
So basically, adaptogens help your body deal with stress more effectively. Think of it like backup for your body's natural stress response system, which, let's be honest, can get a little overloaded during menopause with all those hormonal shifts going on.
Okay, I'm all about anything that can help me manage stress, especially during this time. But how does it actually work? Does it, contain hormones or something?
That's the interesting part, it doesn't. Instead of directly giving your body more hormones, maca is thought to support the endocrine system.
The endocrine system. Remind me what that is again.
Right, so the endocrine system is basically your body's hormone control center. It's like the conductor of an orchestra, making sure all the different hormones are playing in sync. And maca is thought to help bring those hormonal fluctuations back into a more balanced state.
Got it. So it's like giving my endocrine system a pep talk, reminding it who's boss. Love it. And the guys also mentioned that maca root is used for things like fatigue and low libido, which, let's be real, can be pretty common during menopause.
It's true. It's like your energy and your mojo decided to take a simultaneous vacation, right?
Tell me about it. But seriously, is there any truth to those claims? Can maca really help with those things too?
While more research is always a good thing, some studies do suggest that maca might give you a little boost in those departments. It's not about turning back the clock, more like helping you feel more like yourself again.
Okay, I like that. And it sounds like both black cohosh and maca root are being looked at for their potential mood-boosting effects too.
Definitely. And that's likely because of their impact on those mood-regulating neurotransmitters like serotonin that we were talking about earlier. But, and this is important to remember, everyone responds to these things differently. What works wonders for one person might be super subtle for another or not do anything at all.
So true. There's no magic bullet, unfortunately.
Exactly. It's all about figuring out what works for your body.
Trial and error, with some guidance from your healthcare provider, of course. Speaking of which, I noticed the guide also touches on a couple of supplements that address some of the more, how should I put this, personal aspects of menopause?
Personal aspects. Okay, now you've got my attention. Let's hear it. Right, so we're talking evening primrose oil and dong quai.
Okay, those ring a bell. Evening primrose oil first. I've definitely seen that one around. What's its claim to fame?
So evening primrose oil, or EPO for short, is a great source of this fatty acid called GLA, gamma-linolenic acid. It's a bit of a mouthful, but basically it's a powerful anti-inflammatory.
Okay, I'm with you. Inflammation, not our friend. But how does that tie into menopause specifically?
Well, GLA can be super helpful for women who are dealing with breast tenderness during menopause, which, believe it or not, is a pretty common symptom.
Oh, tell me about it. It's like my entire body decided to go through a rebellious phase at once.
It can definitely feel that way. And on top of that, some women find that EPO can help take the edge off those mood swings and those moments of, shall we say, increased irritability that can come with the territory.
Okay, so it's like EPO is whispering to our emotions, okay, ladies, let's just take a deep breath and relax.
Exactly. And you know, another interesting thing the guide mentions is that EPO can be beneficial for skin health too, which makes sense when you consider all the hormonal shifts happening.
Right, because estrogen plays a role in keeping our skin all plump and hydrated, so when those levels change, our skin can definitely feel it.
Exactly. So using EPO with that GLA can help combat some of that dryness and those fine lines that seem to pop up out of nowhere.
Okay, I am sold. Multitasking supplements for the win. Now, let's talk about dong quai. The guide called it the female ginseng, which is a pretty bold statement.
It's a powerful one, that's for sure. Dong quai has been a staple in traditional Chinese medicine for ages, and it's often used to address a whole range of women's health issues, especially those related to, you guessed it, hormonal balance.
Okay, hormonal balance, the recurring theme of menopause. But what does dong quai actually do? Give me the specifics.
Think of it as a multitasker. Traditionally, it's been used for everything from easing hot flashes to supporting bone health, which is super important during and after menopause because of that increased risk of osteoporosis. And some people even use it to help with circulation.
Okay, so it's like the Swiss Army knife of menopause supplements. But with all these potential benefits, I'm guessing there are some things to watch out for.
You're always thinking one step ahead, and that's great. Yeah, dong quai specifically has some potential blood thinning effects, so it's not something to mess around with.
Okay, duly noted. Not messing with the blood thinners.
Definitely talk to your doctor if you're considering adding dong quai to your routine, especially if you're already on any medications, particularly blood thinners, or if you have any bleeding disorders.
Yeah.
Better safe than sorry, right?
100%.
Yeah.
Safety first. Now, we've been talking a lot about specific supplements, which is awesome, but I know the guide emphasizes that a truly holistic approach to menopause goes beyond just what we're putting in our bodies. It's all lifestyle too, right?
100%. And in fact, a lot of experts believe that those lifestyle changes are the real foundation for managing menopause comfortably.
So true. So let's break that down a bit. What are some of the top lifestyle recommendations the guide highlights?
Well, they hit on some important ones, starting with, you guessed it, vitamin D and calcium.
The dynamic duo for strong bones, and especially important during and after menopause, right?
Exactly. Remember how we talked about estrogen playing a protective role for our bones? Well, when estrogen levels decline, that protection weakens, and our risk of osteoporosis goes up.
Makes sense. So how do we make sure we're getting enough of these bone-building nutrients? Supplements or food?
Ideally, a bit of both. Dairy products are, of course, the classic calcium sources. Hello. cheese platters, but don't underestimate the power of leafy greens like kale and spinach. They pack a calcium punch too.
I am all about a good cheese platter. But seriously, it's good to remember that calcium can be found in so many delicious foods. What about vitamin D?
Yeah, vitamin D can be a bit trickier to get through diet alone. Fatty fish like salmon have a decent amount, but for most of us, especially during those winter months when we're not seeing as much sunshine, a little boost from a high-quality vitamin D supplement can be a game changer.
Right, because our bodies actually produce vitamin D when our skin is exposed to sunlight. Soaking up some rays, good for the mood, and good for the bones.
Exactly. Although, always remember to practice safe sun exposure, of course.
Right. Moderation in all things, including sunshine. So we've got our calcium, our vitamin D. What other lifestyle must-dos does the guide recommend?
Well, it also reminds us about those awesome omega-3 fatty acids we talked about earlier, the ones found in fatty fish and flaxseed.
Right. Double duty supplements. We love to see it.
Exactly. And remember, omega-3s aren't just good for managing those hot flashes. They're also superstars for heart health, brain function, and even joint health.
All things that can be affected by those hormonal changes during menopause.
You got it.
Love it. Now, I also noticed a mention of probiotics in the guide, specifically for gut and vaginal health. Is that really a menopause thing?
It might not be the first thing that comes to mind, but it makes a lot of sense.
Okay, tell me more.
So probiotics are those beneficial bacteria that keep our gut and vaginal microbiomes balanced and happy. And, you guessed it, during menopause, those estrogen levels shift, and these delicate ecosystems in our bodies can get a bit thrown off.
Interesting. So are probiotics, like the peacekeepers, restoring order to our inner worlds?
Exactly. They can actually help to prevent those uncomfortable vaginal infections that tend to become more common after menopause. Plus, a happy gut usually translates to a happier you overall. Better digestion, improved mood, the works.
I'm sensing a theme here. Everything is connected.
Right. Our bodies are complex ecosystems. Now, before you wrap things up, we have to at least give a shout out to a few other supplements the guide touches on: ashwagandha, ginseng, and turmeric.
Ooh, yes, I've heard good things about all of those. What's the deal with this trio?
Think of them as the stress-busting, energy-boosting, anti-inflammatory dream team. Ashwagandha, a potent adaptogen, is famous for helping the body deal with stress and promoting restful sleep. Then we have ginseng, known for its energizing effects. It can be a saving grace if you're struggling with fatigue or brain fog. And last but not least, turmeric, with its rockstar anti-inflammatory compound curcumin, can be amazing for those internal fires that can pop up as joint pain or other inflammatory issues.
Wow. It's incredible how much power nature has to help support our bodies through all stages of life.
It really is amazing.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today, from phytoestrogens and adaptogens to lifestyle changes and everything in between. And I have to say, I'm feeling so much more informed and empowered.
That's what we like to hear.
But if there's one key takeaway I want our listeners to walk away with, it's the importance of working with a qualified healthcare provider.
Couldn't agree more. They can help you navigate all these different options based on your unique needs, consider any potential interactions with medications you might be taking, and really help you craft a personalized plan.
Absolutely. It's like having a trusted guide as you navigate this new terrain.
Exactly. And remember, knowledge is power, especially when it comes to making choices about your health.
So well said. This deep dive really opened my eyes to the world of natural options for managing menopause. But remember, everyone, there's a whole universe of information out there, and this is just one piece of the puzzle.
It's true. Don't be afraid to explore, ask questions, and advocate for your well-being.
Exactly. And on that note, for those of you who are ready to dig deeper into the fascinating world of supplements we explored today, be sure to check out topnaturalhealth.com. They have a wealth of evidence-based information, and don't forget they have that sweet promo code just for our awesome listeners.
We'll be sure to include that in the show notes, so be sure to check those out.
And until next time, embrace this new chapter with confidence, and remember, you've got this. We'll catch you on the flip side of this hormonal wave.
From all of us here at Natural Health Talk, thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe and don't forget to visit our sponsor, topnaturalhealth.com, for special promo code pricing on all of the products mentioned in this episode.